Hey y'all, just wanted to take a couple of quick minutes since I was working on this Fuji thing here. Realized I don't think I've covered it in anything yet. What's the difference between a cassette and a freewheel? That's something that a lot of people stumble over. How can you do it at home? Can you do anything with them at home? We'll start real quick with the real breakdown. A cassette, as you can see here, it's all multiple pieces. And in our case, it's held together with a zip tie just so we don't lose any of these individual rings. In the olden days, they had pins you could take out and literally interchange every single one of these cogs to really make it for whatever your particular need was. Cassettes go onto a free hub body that is part of the actual hub, so it's not interchangeable with a freewheel. This is a freewheel, and on a lot of lower end or I don't know, budget commuters and stuff like that, mid-level bikes, you'll see this mega range gear, and that's kind of a dead giveaway that it's a freewheel without even having to look that much harder. A freewheel is essentially a cassette and the free hub body all put into one piece. So you can see on the backside here, that's essentially what the free hub body is on a bike. This just threads straight onto the hub, and it's all enclosed in one piece. So you cannot, or you shouldn't try to take these apart. If you really want to have 400 or 500 bearings rolling around on the floor, then knock yourself out. Otherwise, these are really cheap. You just swap the whole thing out. So whenever, if it starts to hang up on you, or if you're pedaling and you stop pedaling and it kind of jerks the chain, generally that's because the bearings or the pawls inside of this have rusted and are now hanging up, and they're not spinning smoothly on that inside. So that's like the 10,000 foot view is a cassette versus a freewheel. They're just two different types of technology to put gears on bikes. Now, with that being said, you do have two tools that look very, very similar. The splines even look very similar between one tool and another. Easy to get these guys confused, but because the bike industry is the bike industry, both of these are Shimano standards. One is a Shimano standard for a freewheel, and one's a Shimano standard for a cassette. Why did they do that? I don't know. But so if you're at home and you have a bike hand or whatever cheap box kit, it probably has both of these. And if one doesn't fit and it really doesn't want a seat, try the other one. They look very similar, but don't force it. One of them is a cassette and one's a freewheel. Some kits also come with a tool that looks similar to this. It may have something different on this end, but in this case, this would be for like a Shimano bottom bracket or a disc brake. And this over here is also for a disc brake, but also for a cassette. They use the same thing for if you have internally splined rotor lock rings. That's what this is for. This would be for externally splined rotor lock rings, but also for bottom brackets. So at least they're learning. For cassettes, you need either a chain whip. This is what I used to use a lot back in the day. I don't use it as much, and again, most beginner toolkits will come with a chain whip because they're super inexpensive to manufacture. I personally like the chain vise, which is, or Vise Whip rather, that is made by Pedro's. And that's what I use. And I'll show you kind of how all of this works. So first we're gonna start with the freewheel. I've already taken the quick release out of this wheel. This freewheel is, as you see, it's pretty gnarly. The easiest way to get a freewheel off is to have a bench vise. Otherwise, you need a breaker bar, something to really get some muscle on this guy, because these are very tight. So I throw it in the bench. I have a freewheel tool already in the bench vise, and you set it on there, make sure it's fully seated. And then once it's on there, and this is just out of habit, I've always done it this exact same way because it's easier to just have muscle memory than to have to think. If you're sitting at it like a bus driver, you're gonna hang a hard left. You're gonna go real hard to the left, like it's like you're about to crash. You need to go that way. So you get on it with all your body and just give it what's for, and then it breaks right free. That's all there is to it. I'm also gonna get rid of that guy. So literally that's all there is to it to get it off. Just make sure you don't cross thread. The new one, putting it on, and again, unfortunately that guy is shot. And now just turn it, and that's it. We now have a new freewheel on that wheel. Cassettes are a little bit more of a pain in the butt. I hadn't taken the quick release out of this fella yet, and it's going to be really challenging since I'm doing it, you know, backwards and sideways. But the way chain whips work is you're going to wrap it around a set of cogs here. Doesn't matter which set, just pick a set. And all you're doing with that chain whip is holding the wheels or the cassette so it doesn't free spin while you break it free. So it's really that simple of a tool. So you just get it on there, and that's it. You heard it start to crack, so it's breaking free. The chain vise is way easier. You literally, it works like a vice grip. Pick a cog, doesn't matter what cog, grab it, and dial in your jaws. So wham bam, same thing, grab the tool, and that's all there is to it. Really simple. Usually it's helpful to just pull the whole thing off in one go. And this is your free hub body that I talked about, and that stays with the wheel. You would just change out your cassette to whichever one you're putting on there. Hope this helps. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, but I think that should be the basics on a cassette versus a free hub. Thanks a lot, guys.